great cook and great chef. Certainly the cook itself or great chef in some restaurant very often don't have that much to do with the cooking anymore. You go to the Waldorf Astoria, for example, then the chef will have to contend with several banquets of 1,000, 1,500 people. So he will go organize, of course, work out his menu, taste here and there, but that's about it. If you want to make a distinction between, in a sense, a pencil chef and a skillet chef, you know, and the skillet chef being someone who will have a small restaurant, or someone like Thomas Keller here, and will be behind the stove cooking day after day, you know, morning after morning. So that's really someone involved in the cooking itself. Both of those are chefs. You know, by definition, I am not a chef unless I work in a professional kitchen with other people who are working for me. So I am called the chef, which is the chief in France, to run that kitchen. When I go back at home, I'm the cook there. My wife is the chef. You know, it's different. There is so many young chefs coming now, and it's exciting with what they are doing. I mean, even at the French Culinary Institute, where I teach here in New York, I am amazed by those young chefs, what they can do in 6 months of the program, which is 600 and some hours, what they can do at the end of those 600 hours. I would never have been able to do that after 3 years of apprenticeship, even after 5 years. We learn in a totally different way. When I was a child, we stole the trade. We didn't learn it. That is, you would ask the chef, what is this? And he would answer some type of stupidity. You know, you say, what is that sauce called? He say, a sauce nonot, which means nothing at all. He would never tell you how to do anything. And one day he would tell you, tomorrow you start at the stove. You say, me? So you learn through a type of osmosis, looking, and eventually you knew how to do it. You become very proficient with your hand because there was a lot of technique and a lot of manual work to do, chopping, slicing, mincing, and so forth, cleaning up the kitchen and so forth. Now in a place like, for example, at the French Culinary Institute and most of the school, it costs first a fortune. So you cater to the people, you show them, you explain and all that, meaning that they learn much, much faster. However, they're not quite as proficient with their hand as we would have been, as we were. You know, when I was an apprentice, it was a different type of learning way, you know. It's absolutely extremely important, yes, because like any type of manual trade, you have to learn the technique. You have to be a good technician. And this is what I concentrate on my teaching, in the technique, you know, and things which are very often difficult to explain in words, you know, that are very visual. I mean, from chucking an oyster to doing a caramel cage or boning a chicken or doing an omelette and so forth. This is technique that you have to repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat so much that by the time you absorb them, then you can afford to forget them. And then you can afford to think in terms of what the vegetable, I'll do, maybe the texture will go well with that, the color will go well with that, maybe I'll saute that. You think in terms of the future, the dish and your hand work automatically and prepare those things. As long as you are totally obnubilated, you know, if you want, by the slicing of an onion, and someone come around and say, do you have any parsley here? I say, don't disturb me, because you are working on that kind of menial task of slicing the onion, you cannot move forward. You have to get rid of that. And by getting rid of that, you have to practice it enough so you can afford to forget it. Just like if you're a painter, you know, you work 2 or 3 years in a studio, and you learn how to, the law of perspective, and you learn how to mix yellow and blue to do green. And you know you can do that with your thumb or with a spatula and all that. So you kind of learn the trick of the trade, meaning that after 3 years you can stand outside and you can do one painting after another. Does that make you a great artist? No, you're a good technician. That's what you have. Well, in the kitchen, likewise, you know, you have to become a good technician. And I'm sure a surgeon as well as a mason first have to become good technicians before they move forward, you know. Behind the technique itself, that is the knowledge of whatever trade it is, then there is of course talent, and there is talent. There is also someone, the willingness of doing this, and you have to keep at it. And there is a certain discipline involved in that. So the discipline, as long as with the talent, with the proper technique, with a certain openness to learn with other people, eventually you reach to a certain level where you can express yourself. Because in the kitchen, certainly, all you have to say is yes, chef, as an apprentice. That's about it, you know. And because the chef is not going to ask you your opinion, you go work at Daniel or Jean-Georges in New York, or any of the great restaurants, you are going to do what the chef wants there, because the kitchen has been set up by someone with a great chef and had a vision of the way the food should be. So you're there to learn. So you absorb and you learn, and then you change a year later, work with someone else who may not do exactly, who probably will not do the same thing in the same manner. So you learn another way, another point of view, another way of looking at things. And after you do that for a number of years, 7, 8, 10 years, then you have absorbed that enormous amount of material which you kind of regurgitate, if you want, excuse me for the pun, but you get that through your own sense of aesthetic, through your own sense of idea. And then you start creating your own type of cuisine with your own idea at that point.